welcome back to another riveting episode of Infamous. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Josh, go by Grummelzog on Discord.
Alright, so jumping right into our normal media segment, I've been watching movies.
I, too, have been watching movies.
So I guess the reason that is strange is normally I tend to watch a lot of TV shows and not movies so much. Because I usually can dedicate 30 minutes to an hour, but 90 minutes is just a little bit harder. And also it's like, there's the process of being OCD and picking what movie to watch. And so I have to scroll through all the options of movies instead of just
picking one.
Hitting whatever's in my list, right? Yeah.
I have been...
So what I've done, as we've been doing... Sorry, I think we have a heavy delay going on between us. I don't know. You seemed very unsynced on Discord. But what I've been doing as we've been going through our Mojo world is I have been writing down all of the movies that people list that I haven't seen yet that sound good. So I have a list of about 50 movies that I haven't watched. And so I have started ticking those off. So basically in the last 2 months, I have watched True Romance, Trouble with the Curve, Moneyball. Well, I'd seen Moneyball before, but then Blackberry, Tetris, Winning Time. It's a show, but watched The Neverending Story, Empire Records, The Ref, Wedding Crashers, and Hunter Killer.
You never saw Wedding Crashers?
I had only seen up to the part where they go to the wedding where they meet the characters in the movie. So I only seen the first 20 minutes. And the movie gets way better after that, which is funny.
Yeah. I enjoy Wedding Crashers quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I like your idea. I've got my favorite YouTube channel, basically one of two I watch, that is a movie review channel. But they don't generally do current movies coming out. They'll do some of those. But they go back and watch old B movies or movies that were popular in the 70s and 80s. So that's always a good, I'll be like, oh, cool. Well, this sounds interesting. I'll go give it a watch.
Yeah.
But I have been trying to knock out a lot of painting because I'm down to the wire for Adepticon now. And I didn't even know it was a trilogy, but I watched the Money Trilogy, which is the Clint Eastwood, Fistful of Dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Good,
the bad, more.
$2 more, yeah. And I guess I have never sat and I've seen Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but I never sat and watched it, right? So good. Fantastic films. Really, I understand why Westerns were such a thing for a long time now. Because I was like, man, these were great. Just great characters, good all around. So,
cool.
Because I kind of have to...
Yeah, I've never really been into Westerns, so...
I'm not a Westerns guy. My dad is a big John Wayne fan. So, I've seen the John Waynes growing up, but Westerns are generally not my thing. But, YouTube kind of rotates through different, what they have for free. And they're generally themed. They'll have a ton of sword and sorcery films or a ton of, action films. And the current run is a ton of Westerns. So, that is what I've been watching. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed them a lot more than I thought I would.
That's good. I think of the recent movies I've watched, The Ref was a little overhyped. It was fun, but a little overhyped. Neverending Story was not great. It's obviously a kid's movie, but I was kind of hoping it would be better. I think Goonies is still on my list, but I've seen small parts of Goonies. I've never seen any part of Neverending Story. And so I'm hoping I like Goonies more.
Goonies is pretty good. Goonies is a classical, children's tale story.
Right.
And, it's kind of hard to not... Even as an adult, it's kind of hard not to, just enjoy it if you don't take it super seriously.
Yeah.
So,
so there's a TV show I watched called Winning Time. I just watched the second season of it. I'd seen the first season, I guess, a couple of years ago. But it follows the 1970 and 80s Lakers. specifically Magic Johnson getting drafted to the Lakers and Jerry Buss buying the team. It's dramatized, but it's all based on true events, and so it's kind of interesting. The characters in it are pretty funny, but it's weird because the first season follows their first year with the Lakers, but I believe the second season covers 5 years of the team. So I don't know if they knew they were getting canceled or something, but the second season, like, an entire year happens in one episode. And so it's just a little jarring that it's just over in a flash, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're in 1982 now. Like,
neat.
And so, yeah,
cool.
It's pretty crazy.
Is that a modern show? Like, is that a recent one?
Yeah, it just came out the last few years.
Okay. I am not a big sports guy, so I don't end up generally watching those sports shows or sports movies. I've been told I was supposed to watch. Ted Lasso.
Yes.
My
Ted
brother
Lasso's
is like
very
begging
good.
me. He's like, you have to watch Ted Lasso. You love it, and
You should watch
it's
it.
on
really
the
good.
high part of the list to watch. So it's just one of those ones. Like, I like to binge watch shows, because I don't.
I mean, there's like 5 seasons out. There's no reason you can't binge watch it.
Yeah, it's just having the time. So
yeah. I think it is one of the best character-written shows I've seen in a very, very long time.
Really?
Every character on Ted Lasso is compelling and interesting. It's actually, like, surprisingly so. Like, you watch, like, arguably good shows like, Breaking Bad or West Wing and stuff. It's like, the characters are interesting and you want to keep watching it. But there's still, like, in like 2 scenes, you know who the character is.
Yeah.
In every episode of Ted Lasso, you feel like you learn the characters in the show more. Like, it's so well written. And, like, there was, like, I want to say, like, not a protest, but, like, there was, when they heard that the show might be ending, there was, like, a mass fan outcry to keep the show going. Even though the writers were like, we're ending it. It's not, like, getting canceled because it's hugely popular.
Yeah.
But, like, we think the show's going to end here. And so, like, they're like, no! Like, we want more of this show. Yeah, Ted Lasso is great. It's one of the best shows I've seen lately.
I'm going to probably be breaking a rule of mine this weekend and watching the new Game of Thrones show. So we'll see how it goes. I have been on boycott because in the year of our Lord 2012, I read the entire Game of Thrones series in like 6 days. It's like 3,000 pages or something. And I just couldn't put it down. I was so enchanted with the books. I was like, God, these are phenomenal. And that was 14 years ago. And I have never gotten a new book since. So after the show ended, I was like, I will not consume or read anything Game of Thrones until those books are out. But I've heard the new show is phenomenal. And it's got a trope I really like, which is like honorable knightly warrior man who's just a good guy in a terrible world, and I'm kind of a sucker for those. So,
and you're not talking about House of Dragons; you're talking about the new one, right?
Yeah, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is based off of his short stories, Dunk and Egg. So,
okay, I have never seen. I've seen like 5 minutes total of Game of Thrones. So,
I enjoyed it. But I kind of knew about Game of Thrones a little bit before the shows. Then the shows came on, and I was like, oh, fuck, this is great. Like, this is super cool. But I feel like we don't, understandably, we don't get a ton of, like, fantasy shows at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now we kind of get a couple every year, right? But at the time, like, fantasy was just kind of floating in the aether, getting nothing.
Yeah, I'd say it's the first real mainstream, like, high production, like, fantasy based TV show.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of movies, like obviously Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff, but there's been very few, and there's a ton of like made for cable TV shows that are just like.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you look back, like, there's a ton of like that's almost the heyday of like the Sci-Fi Channel, right? Like, science fiction was popping off. There's sci-fi everywhere. But there was just not fantasy. And I do I admit I like fantasy more than science fiction. So
yeah, there's like a handful of decent fantasy ones, but not very many good ones.
Yeah. I would recommend Game of Thrones watching through at least once. It's
I probably won't.
That's fair. I will never watch that show again.
I had a bunch of friends. I have a bunch of friends back from the old game store, and they were all reading the books together, and they would always talk about it in front of me, and I hate spoilers. And so I know like 80% of what happens, and I just don't. I'm already over all the interesting plot points, so I just don't care.
And that's very fair.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish we could get another good fantasy.
Rings of Power, bro.
I tried. I watched the first episode, and I was like, I no longer do this.
I don't think watching one episode of the show is honestly trying, but I will accept that you don't want to watch it. Like, how many shows were bad after one episode, but you kept watching? I understand that, like, it's a specific point because Lord of the Rings is so important, and it's not okay to mess that stuff up, but, like, it's not the best show, and I'm sure the best parts of Game of Thrones are way better than Rings of Power, but also, everyone who rails on Rings of Power is not talking about the show. They're talking about how it isn't the book, but not the show on its own. So, like, and I can understand that upsets you, but, like, you knew going in it wasn't going to be a shot-for-shot remake, so, like, get over it or don't watch it. And you're not watching, which I respect, but, like, it's not that big a deal.
That's what I agree. I don't feel like that's fair to a piece of media to just be like, and just like nerd rage out. Like, I watched it. Let alone the fact it was Lord of the Rings, just was not drawn in. And I was like, okay, I'll save myself time by not watching it.
I want to say the first like 3 or 4 episodes are really kind of boring, except for like the Galadriel stuff. And the Galadriel stuff is the made up parts, so I can understand how that can be frustrating. But yeah, I liked it. Season 2, I think, was noticeably better than season 1. But the end of season 1 is still pretty good. Like, there's a lot of interesting shit going on. But yeah, I think they started off too slow, but they were expecting the Lord of the Rings audience to be okay with a slow start because, Tolkien.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you don't expect the wheel to be going at full speed when the show starts.
I would kill for a Warhammer fantasy show. Honestly,
Warhammer Fantasy
feel like
could be really cool.
There's obviously going to be CGI, but you could just do so much practical stuff that really grounds it, right? But I just think there's so much cool stuff going in the setting that it would be rad. It'd be really cool to just get us.
Yeah, like when people talk about like how cool the 40K setting is. It's cool from like a watching action movie perspective. Like, John Wick is cool, but as soon as you live in it and it happens 8 hours a day, it's like, this is no longer cool, right? Like, it's so campy and ridiculous that like in more than small sample sizes, it breaks down. And I feel like that's 40K to me. If I wanted to, like, sitting down and having a conversation with 80% of the named characters in the storyline is just undoable. Yeah. Like, you can't, it's like they're a space marine and they're like mongoloids, like they're not real people. They don't even have like a personality. Only specific ones really do, and even they are so far removed from reality that you can't have a conversation with them. And then like half of the Xenos are like immortal psychos. You either have the Necrons who like beep at you, or you have the demons who just slather and yell. And you're like, where are we supposed to have this compelling interactions on a TV show? And it's like, if they're going to portray Space Marines as that, I find that disingenuous to the content. Like, some of them are higher thinking people, but those are very rare. And those people spend the vast majority of their time doing administrative crap, like not actually like doing it. So it's like, if you want Babylon 5, you should not be looking to 40K to supply
and I
that,
think there's something to be said for like, because I know video games try to do this a lot, but being able to place yourself in the shoes of the main character, you can't do that with the Space Marine. Like, none of us are 8 foot
and like
tall, psycho-indoctrinated, crazy, like berserk maniac soldiers. Okay, you'll never be that.
So cut out all of the action parts of like Space Marine.
Nothing.
And then like, what are you left with? 3.5 minutes of dialogue in a 5-hour playthrough. Like, what are we talking about? Like, remove the action scenes from the game and like what's left. You want to make a TV show out of this, and this is the exception to the rule because you're playing through as like Titus. And it's like, okay, I just don't know what you're supposed to do.
Kill.
Like, custodian guard, 99.9% of their lifespan is spent standing silently in a hallway. Like, and then you're like, yeah, custodes. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it just, I don't know that that's the best frame, but when you cut over to Old World, everyone has at least some level of humanity outside of the undead and the demons. Like the dwarves, the elves, everything. There's a society in every group, because it's not so far stretched beyond realism. And so I think it'd be much easier, and it'd be cheaper to do, because not everyone is wearing fucking power armor and having laser guns. Like you just have people fighting with swords.
And I think there's a lot of like, even though it is crazy fantasy, there's still a lot of grounded stories you could tell in Warhammer Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could just follow a witch hunter solving mystery of the week episodes, right? But like
exactly. But even if you go to like really high scale, it's like you can have Karl Franz negotiating with the Dwarf King over an alliance against the elves. Like, you can do all kinds of stuff because it's people. Like, even though they're not human, they're still people. And so I feel like there's so much more opportunity there to do stuff. And like, just like Lord of the Rings, like, yeah, there's some really expensive special effects you'll need to do, but those are more the exception to the rule. And you just have to have people in costumes for most of it.
That's the thing with like the movies too, is they've held up exceedingly well because they're like, we'll just do practical. Mm-hmm. We'll just do, there's CGI and stuff, but like, it's just
most of the CGI
that guy is wearing
practical effects.
I assume it's not metal, but he is wearing a suit of armor, and it's not green stuffed onto him.
It's the most famous special effects from the Two Towers are the guy actually has one eye. The famous dude yelling on the wall actually had one eye.
Yeah.
And so all they really did for special effects in that section was like, they brushed it up a little bit, but they mostly just duplicated people dressed as Uruk-hai. They're like, just copy this on all of the ground.
Yep. I'm trying to think there's any other fantasy settings I'd really like.
There's a bunch of bad ones. There's like The Legend of the Seeker. There is Young Merlin.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of them. They're just okay. They're not worth writing home about, right? Like, they're just like, I watch this.
I'll be honest, okay. I'm not a big King Arthur guy. I think it's so.
I'm not either, but the Young Merlin thing is just like a prequel to the Camelot stuff. Like the King Arthur is just a young kid who's like the son of a nobleman. And then Merlin is like magic is outlawed in their world because there's been so many evil casters. And so it's the kid is like an apprentice to a librarian, and he's trying to keep the fact that he can do magic a secret through the whole show. But it's again, it's not a great show, but it's like, if you like Dragonheart, you will like Young Merlin.
I fucking loved Dragonheart. I'll admit. Okay.
You would like the Young Merlin then. Because there's a dragon in it and everything.
I did watch Dragonheart quite a bit.
Yeah. I was surprised how much I liked The Adventures of Young Merlin because of how bad the show was. But I was like, it's just fun. Like, it's like, because it's like ground level wizardry. And so it's like, well, he can only do these minor spells, and he has to do it in secret. And so it's him trying to like fix people's problems and like save the kingdom from all the dark forces and stuff. And then, like, the Morgana Le Fay is in the show, but she's not Morgana during the show, if that makes sense. Like, she hadn't become, like, a witch yet. Because it takes place when Merlin's, like, 16. Okay. And he's, like, 80 when the books happen or whatever.
Interesting. I'm trying to think if there's any other. I will fully admit, I'm sad we did not get more Warcraft. I personally very much enjoyed the Warcraft movie. It's a setting I like. I would have liked to see more, but it'll never happen. So,
yeah, I didn't see it. I wasn't super excited about it, but I'm not a Warcraft person. Yeah. So,
see, Warcraft 3 is probably my second favorite game of all time. I have an unhealthy amount of hours in that game. And so I like read all the lore. I've read the wiki once or twice. Like, it's something I don't like most of the new stuff. It's fine, but they kind of, my main problem is they kind of did the my issue with a lot of the Marvel movies, where instead of like, okay, who's the villain? It's this evil warlord that is trying to conquer shit. It's like, no, it's this. They had to keep escalating, and it just kept being like extraplanetary god. Oh, there's something that exists behind that, and like just way too high up. I'm like, no. I like a little more grounded. Even as wild as Warhammer Fantasy gets, it's still pretty grounded with what's going on. You know the rules. You know how people behave. And I think I enjoy that a bit more.
Cool. So let's jump into a little bit of news that's MCP related. We'll just touch on this because I know you weren't super excited. So I'm torn. I have good feelings and bad feelings about this, but today, this morning, Atomic Mass Games announced Crisis Protocol alliances. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm sure by the weekend everybody will have seen it, though. It looks to be a self-contained board game type release that is separate from Crisis Protocol, but is model compatible. So it would be the same size miniatures on similar bases. And it's going to come with similar stat cards that are slightly different. They look kind of reminiscent of the Ultimate Encounter cards, but they're not quite that. They're still different from that. But they're press fit, easy assemble models for like less experienced modelers, but they're board game pieces, so you should kind of expect that. The big thing for me is they have a lot of like henchman type models. So there's like random scrolls, there's little robot dudes, it looks like there's just some thug people, and so there's like people smaller than the heroes in the game. It appears to be on a hex grid, and you can customize your superheroes by basically buying or selecting superpowers out of a pack for different people. So when one of the examples they have level up your characters is it's Spider-Man, and it looks a lot like the Spectacular Spider-Man. And then there's level 1 and level 2 for like different abilities he can have. And then there's looks like a health tracker and a power tracker, and then another green tracker that I'm not sure what that is. And then there's little tokens and stuff on the cards. So
CJ thinks
the thing they've said is the models are compatible, but other than that, it'll be a completely different experience than playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. I imagine a lot of the core mechanics will be similar because they even show some of their classic D8s in the shots, so I imagine it'll be on the same dice system.
CJ thinks that it's going to be a lot like the I forget the term he used, but like like the new Warhammer Quest that came out. Like So Warhammer will release games that are board games, but they come with models that you can use, and you're playing through an encounter with the models. And apparently, those are super hot right now. Like if you went to a store that sold board games, there's going to be a whole aisle of just like you build up these little guys, and then you play through an encounter. And your guys will level up as you play through, and then like eventually you beat the final boss. The game resets till next time you want to play with your friends. So that's what I assume these will be like, which is fine if that's your thing.
Yeah, that sounds
it's
like
not for me, but that's pretty rad. So I like.
Yeah, it kind of like looks like a mashup of MCP and Sentinels of the Multiverse.
I do like the neat little. Oh, here's some alternate models. You could use them in MCP. That way, if someone comes along you really like, or a sculpt just takes you, super rad.
So I don't see that being. I think that is a selling point they've had. That they even say it.
Don't think it's the main thing,
but I don't think that's actually a reasonable function. I think that's basically just fairy dust. That's not real. Because the model, if you wanted to get MCP models by buying an Alliances kit, you're not getting any of the cards that come with said models. I think that's a big downside. Even though a lot of people allow print to play, printing out every card you have is really annoying and tedious. And like, first of all, it's also expensive if you want to actually have like high DPI, good quality printer. That's a pain in the ass. On the flip side, if you already play MCP and you like the new models, they're press-fit, low-detail models, and so I don't see there being a lot of examples of you preferring that sculpt. The only one I can see being a possibility is Black Cat, because she isn't posed like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But even still, she's jumping and has like one hand on a rock. I'm like, that's gonna break too. Like, who really cares? I don't know. So as far as like the model aspect, I don't see it like, even looking at the studio schemes, like they're doing a really good job of making them look good in a picture. But if you like scroll down to the example they have, it does not look great. Like the press fit blue plastic is just like eh. On the plus side, I actually think this is a good outlet for MCP. We all know that the game isn't the most technically complex game ever. Like, part of its awesomeness is its simplicity. Like, it's so easy to learn and teach people the core rules. And so just porting that directly into a board game, I think, is a good place to explore new options.
Yeah. Well, especially with, I know the rumor mill is that Shatterpoint is getting shuttered. Who knows if that's true? But I mean, they'll have to try.
I think it was in their release saying.
No, they used.
I think the release was basically saying it's sunset.
They used corpo language that basically means they'll release they'll keep releasing the sculpts they've already done up and paid to do, and then it will probably be, there won't be no more releases. They'll just drop support for it. You'll still probably maybe be able to buy it for a couple more years. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
apparently Star Wars
like
Legion
the way we're doing our MCP right now.
Yeah,
because like, if there's, I don't know, I've never felt the same way everyone else does about Star Wars. Every Star Wars game, the community seems to think there'll just be infinite releases, but they're tied to an IP that has a set number of characters.
Yeah,
like, you can't infinitely release Star Wars Legion products without reprinting things that you've already released. Which is why I thought Star Wars Legion has already gotten to.
Or going into new eras and different things, right?
Well, because in X-Wing, that was really the problem they had when they released the Force Awakens core set. And the new trilogy gave them a huge amount of ships to draw on. But even still, they like went to release the pilots, because the way X-Wing works is you have to name the pilots. And so they went to release the names of the pilots, and they got in trouble with Disney, because Disney's like, well, we can't give you the official names, because you'll spoil them. And so we can't also let you release random shit, because then we'll have to put those people in the universe.
Yeah.
Because according to like our corporate structure, this game is canon. And so it's like, well, what the fuck do we do now? So they had to come up with like generic leader names. It's like Epsilon Pilot, Epsilon Squad Leader, and you're like, what the fuck? And so it's very weird. They got this weird situation. They're also pulling so deep from shit people had never even heard of to put stuff in the game. It's like, that's the problem with Star Wars, that we have a crazy amount of content, but it's also focused around the same 8 fuckheads, and it just infinitely regurgitates the same people.
Yeah.
So it doesn't grow itself very well, which is why The Mandalorian, I think, was so well received, is because you actually got some fresh blood into the universe. Anyway, I think the planning a game that doesn't have an infinite release cycle is not bad. Like, just saying, like, hey, we're going to release new things when we think there's a reason to release stuff is fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be, like, writing on the wall the game is dying or anything. Like, if you love Shatterpoint, there's nothing stopping you from playing Shatterpoint.
Yep, you've got the models, you've got the rules, you can play it forever.
Yeah.
So, but I've heard Star Wars Legion is doing quite well. So, I find that to be interesting. I
think it is the only realistic alternative army scale game to GW right now.
Yeah, I haven't. They want me to play, but by God, if I see another StarCraft minis ad, it's like whenever I scroll, because
well, it's not out yet, and it's a skirmish.
Yeah,
game.
But every time I scroll, it's like, hey man, do you know there's a fucking StarCraft game coming out? I'm like, yeah, but I don't care about StarCraft. Like, if you were like, hey, there's a Warcraft game coming out, day one, I'm in. You've got my money. Mm-hmm. But StarCraft has just never appealed to me in the same way, and so I'm like, I see it, I'm like, neat. If you like it, good for you. I'm glad you're getting a game.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I would prefer StarCraft over Warcraft for sure, but that's obviously just preference. My issue is that there's just infinite skirmish games right now, and I understand that skirmish games have a selling point, right? They're easier to play, they're lower model count, but like if everyone only does skirmish games, this is where we end up. Is name an army scale game that isn't made by Games Workshop. It's Star Wars Legion, and I think technically Halo.
No.
Which I think has been killed because Spartan Games died.
Halo is just skirmish.
No, Halo had a fleet combat.
Oh, did it have a fleet combat game? Now, are we talking just fantasy? Or, sorry, just sci-fi? Because there's...
No, any.
So there's Conquest, which is an army scale game.
Okay, so we have Conquest. We have Star Wars Legion. We have Flames of War.
Flames of War, yeah.
And there's 3?
See, my problem is I would consider it still a skirmish game. There is a Game of Thrones game that is played with square bases and multiple models in a unit. The thing is just called Song of Ice and Fire something.
Oh, it's made by Night Models.
And the models are fine, but it's like you're not really playing with an army. You're playing with like 3 or 4 units that have 5 to 6 guys in it, and then you go do stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like that. I would consider that an army game.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures, and it looks like it's around 30 models. That's not an army game. What about because even the Lord of the Rings game is GW.
Yep,
and it's not army scale anymore. I don't think
it is, but it's like lower. I would consider it more of a skirmish than anything. Like, there are armies that can push 35 models, but in general, you're going to have... Because that's also a very hero hammer game. Like, Boromir is going to kill 7 things. Easy.
Yeah.
Every activation, something's dying, because he's fighting chaff. And the chaff is more there for positioning.
It's just crazy to me, because back in the day, there was a lot of army scale games, and skirmish games were kind of like... There was about an equal number, but most of them weren't very good. And so, like, of the stay-around skirmish games, there was actually less than the army scale games. And it's inverted now, and part of that is miniatures pricing, part of that is marketing, and part of it is, like, the dynamic has changed. People want faster, quicker games that are easier to get on the table.
Yeah.
As where back in the day, people would prefer to stick with their one game for 10 years. Yeah. And so I think it's just a pace of lifestyle that has mostly driven this. But yeah, for me, it's kind of sad because I love army scale games. I think they feel more epic on the table, and so now it's just there's so many of them are just like gone.
Yeah, but I also do understand the respecting of your time, right? It's hard to be like, cool, I'm gonna go play a 2.5 hour Warhammer game. Maybe.
Well, I don't think time is directly related to model count.
No,
it's obviously correlated,
but an army game, you want the big strategies, and you want like to really sink your teeth in it, which I enjoy. But it's also kind of nice to just be like if I'm playing someone who knows what they're doing, I can knock an MCP game out in 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, but part of the issue it has nothing to do with the model count. It's everything to do with the intentional complexity and tediness they design into their games. Like, I've played probably 100 games of 40K that takes less time than the average game of MCP. But that's not how the game works anymore. Yeah. Now, getting done in less than 2 hours is a rarity. And it didn't used to be. You used to be able to get a game in 90 minutes easily. And then down to 45 minutes if both players really knew what they were doing. Yeah. And so but now there's reactions, and there's like tons of wounds. Models are like invincible now. Like back in the day, like even the toughest thing you could bring to the table had like an 80% chance of dying if your opponent cared to try. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, Land Raider in cover with smoke, and you're like, all this stuff, and you're like, cool. So I'm going to shoot 4 things at it. That's dead now.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, yeah. It's like, that's not the case anymore. It's like, well, now I've got my Death Shroud, Death Guard, Bodyguard, Terminators that are in like the shroud of all these psychic powers and aura buffs. I'm like, and I'm going to use 3 stratagems. Yeah. Like, whatever, man. Like how many fucking rules do you need to play your goddamn game? Like, it's can we just bring it back to people fighting each other without God intervening at every single punch? Like, I don't know. They're trying to make a skirmish game that has 55 bottles on the board. It's like that doesn't work very well in my opinion.
Yeah, 50. Because once you get up there, it's like, There's a lot
every model
going
has 2 reactions and 4 special rules. Like, who cares?
And that's the thing that kind of like pulled me out of wanting to jump back into 40K or even Age of Sigmar, is they kind of took away a lot of the little things I liked, which is building your dudes. And so they basically like simplified all of the units. So you're not building individual models with they have this gun that does this. That took too much time apparently. Simplified all the units, and then tried to make the strategy-ish part of the game more complex, as I understand it. But I like sitting down and being like, all right, I got to build 12 spearmen, and the spearmen have this leader, and the leader is equipped with these things.
It's so fun to just sit down with like army builders, and I'm going to build my general for my old world army, and you're just like, all right, cool. So he's got, equipment he can take. He's got magical powers he can buy. And it's just all these different things. I'm going to combine them all these different ways. I'm going to give him this magical banner. He's going to buff this unit. And so you're working to make things work together, as where now everything is meant to work together. So it's like, well, I'm going to take this unit of spearmen. Well, now I have to take the spearman captain because he makes them way better than they normally are. So it's just like flow chart to building an army. And I feel like I don't actually make any decisions in that process. The only decision you're making is which of the flowcharts do you want to use. I don't know have you ever played League of Legends?
I have played more League of Legends than it's probably healthy for someone.
Okay, so back in the day, they used to have rune pages. I don't know how many people are going to know this.
I was going to say, I started playing League in...
You had to buy runes. You had to buy runes to put in your rune page.
Season 1 or 2, like 2009, before it was even...
Yeah, I played before that, so... So you would have to buy runes to put in a page. So your page would just have 30 rune slots, and there was different ones of like 9 of them were red runes, 9 of them were blue runes. And so if you wanted armor, you would buy armor runes, but you have to buy a red armor rune or a green or a blue and plug it into your page. Well, red runes were better at offense, and blue runes were better at defense, and green runes were better at support. So depending on what you wanted to do, you could sell out, but then like your red runes for armor would only give like half an armor. Blue runes would give 1, and the green runes would give like a quarter. And so you had to make decisions for that. And it was still, you could make logical decisions on there. But then they moved into a rune page, which is like a skill tree.
Yeah.
And back in the day, like you would actually have to choose a skill tree. And now, the last time I played League, it was like, you just choose red, blue, or green. That's all you choose. Yeah. Like, okay, well, I guess.
I still remember the sense of accomplishment I felt when I saved up enough, got all my runes to play top crit plank, where I just had as much crit strikes as I could, and just so I'd walk up and turn one, or like first like part of the game,
boom, just shoot someone in the face.
Half their health gone, and they were like, "What the fuck is happening?" I was like,
and they just walk back to their tower. It's like, I'll see you in 5 minutes,
exactly.
Buddy. Dude, crit plank was so funny. Just because the sound of the flintlock was so funny. It was like click, boom, just blow people apart. Yeah, it was so funny. You remember when his ultimate, he calls down cannon fire? It used to actually randomize where the cannonballs hit, and that's who took damage. You could stand in his ult and take 0 damage or die instantly if 4 cannonballs hit you. It was hilarious.
God,
people would get so mad about fucking Gangplank.
Still to this day, I think my most missed thing was Old Poppy, where you just became fucking invulnerable for like 5 seconds, and you're like, cool. Well, I cast it on the support. They don't do any damage. They're the only one that can hurt me. And I'm going to murder fuck your entire team. Like, you can't stop me. There's nothing you can do. And it was very fun.
All right, so let's get out of League of Legends talk.
Okay.
But it was just talking about like the customability of players. Like, and Parker was correct in this. Parker loved X-Wing. X-Wing was a trash game. But building squadrons was very interesting. It was the best part about the game by far. You sitting down like, all right, well, I can take, I'm going to drop this X-Wing down to a, Z95 to get the points to invest upgrades in the Z95 to make it arguably better than the X-Wing in some situations. And so there's like all these different choices you could make, and like all the upgrades, and then squad advantages, the different like pilot skills you could layer, and like all the different like munitions you could take. It was really, really interesting and well thought out. There was obviously some imbalance in there because Fantasy Flight games can't balance a fucking scale, let alone a miniatures game. But they did a good job with the concepts of the customization. It was really well intricate. But then, like, getting the models on tables, like, well, I do the obvious maneuver and I say focus out loud, and then we roll dice, and the dice are the worst part of the game. So it's like the best part of the game was never playing the game, but building squads. And so as long as you never actually played X-Wing, you have a really good time. Yeah. So I would always give him shit because he loved X-Wing and I hated X-Wing. But we both agreed building lists was the best part of the game. And so, like, that's the part of miniatures games that's gone now. It's like, what do you want to do? Is like, I want to win game by victory points. So you press the victory point button character. And you're like, okay, cool. I guess that's all I'm going to do. Yeah. And then we're going to roll some dice. Like, there's no choices.
At the height of when CJ and I played, I legitimately probably spent at least 20 minutes, if not more, building Lord of the Rings lists every single day.
Yep.
I would just sit there and be like, what if I want to do this? And like figure out this chain of things I could do. And be like, okay, well, maybe I shave off a couple things here to pop this in. And it was so much fun. I had just, before Battlescribe was abandonware, I think it is now. But I just had pages of Lord of the Rings lists. And a lot of times it wasn't even for armies I played. I'd just be like, man, this is a cool idea for this army. Like, let's sit there and do it. So I enjoy list building as a concept.
The program I use is called Army Builder. It's been out since the early 2000s, and I still have it. I have it on my computer. The amount of hours I have spent in Army Builder is well into the hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah.
I've put more time into Army Builder than probably all but 4 video games I've ever played. Just sitting there is like tinkering. It's like, I'm going to drop melta bombs on this squad sergeant to take a plasma, to then upgrade my flamer to a plasma gun in this other squad. Or I'm going to like, all right, what if instead of taking, this melta gun in this tactical squad, I'm going to upgrade my dev squad to have tank hunters. Like that small change is like, oh man.
So Saturday I was working on painting all day, but I needed something to like listen to. And as well as I fully admit I should probably go to the eye doctor and look at glasses because things started to get fuzzy and I was like, holy fuck, I can't see this detail to paint it. But I probably spent like 2.5 hours just making an ogre list for Old World, and man, it was just nice. It was nice to sit there and be like, okay, we made it. Well, no, these parts are trash. We got to redo it. Like, cool. So I enjoy list building. That's the point. Cool. Bring it back.
Yeah,
make choices.
Customizable armies, yeah. Like I probably sat there for 20 or 30 hours staring at Army Builder when I first got back in Old World, just trying to decide how wide of a unit I want to take for my Graveguard. Like, do I want to go 6 wide or 7 wide because they're in rank? And it's like, or do I want to just do 5 wide? Like, it's just like agonizing over like the most ridiculous decision because I've already decided how many guys will be in the unit. Now I'm just trying to decide how wide I want to deploy them. It's like, well, can I make do with only 3 ablative wounds, or do I need extra guys? It's so funny. Just for me to get to the table and misdeploy them. It's very important.
What is it? Strategy never survives contact with the enemy.
So what do you think? Are you going to give alliances a shot? Are you excited? You don't care? Are you waiting for more information?
It's not for me. I don't have an interest. They would have to do something that really calls to me for me to get into it. So to me, it'll be one of those things. It'll pop up. I'll be like, oh, neat, and then I'll just go about my day. But if that is your thing, I know. Like I said, CJ told me they're very popular. There's a whole row at your board game store that is just play through an adventure thing with heroes, and I do think that's really neat. And if that's your thing, then this is probably going to be really good for you. And they're doing it right because Marvel is a golden goose IP. What about you?
So there was an issue back in the day. So I've said many, many times that I loved War Machine. The combat system in War Machine is, I think, still the best I've ever had in a miniatures game. They then made a role-playing game called the Iron Kingdoms, which is the setting that the miniatures game takes place in. And you got to play like lieutenant-level characters from the miniatures game in the role-playing game. That was like steampunk D&D.
Yeah.
And so you could even have some people be like well enough along that they could bring a little tiny mech with them. That's the equivalent of like, I don't know, like a light dreadnought or something, like a sentinel from Imperial Guard. And so we had a group of like 30 people playing War Machine, so we instantly found groups of like 6 people to play this role-playing game with. We sat down, we started playing, and we're like, oh, this is so cool. And as soon as the shine, washes off of it and you're no longer like new thing excited, we were sitting around the table. It's like, why aren't we just playing War Machine? Because we get to make so many less rolls doing the role-playing game than we do if we were playing the miniatures game. So I don't think that's a direct parallel here, because every time anyone was like, let's play the Iron Kingdoms RPG, and we'd start a game, 2 game sessions, and you're like, I would rather just be playing the miniatures game right now.
Yeah.
And it's the same people we would be playing with on the same table we would be playing with on. And it's like, why don't we just change the terrain setup and get out our actual models? And so I don't think that's going to happen, but it is in that same vein. So I'm curious, because what I'm hoping is, I don't know if you've watched a game of Shatterpoint. Yes or no?
I have.
You understand the vague concept of the rules?
I have watched one how to play basic Shatterpoint. It was 20 minutes long, right?
So they have some clear overlap of like learning curve of like they've learned lessons in one game and they've made that implement in the next game. So I'd say there's some stuff from Star Wars Legion that made it into MCP. There's stuff from MCP that made it into Shatterpoint. But I think in each round, they've made noticeable improvements in a lot of areas. And so now that there's a new Marvel game that's obviously based on a similar rule set, I'm curious if there will be any playtest mechanics for MCP in this game. Because if we were to down the road, not immediately, but down the road, get a second edition of MCP, I could see there being stuff coming from this game being ported in. For example, the days mechanic they have in Shatterpoint. Because I think what they realize they don't like in MCP is they don't like your models dying.
Yeah.
And not like getting days. They don't want them being taken off the board. They want the battle to seem like a comic book where people are always in the fight no matter how beat up they are. Which is why in Shatterpoint it's practically impossible to kill an enemy model off the board without like knowing that, without your opponent basically letting you do it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to keep your model alive, you can do that. It is just a choice you can make and you can invest resources in. It's just not going to happen, right? The game isn't long enough for you to remove the piece. What you can do is daze it in a situation that is tactically advantageous. And so I think that's what they've been trying to do with MCP by nerfing all of the attrition models, all the models that can quickly pick people up off the table with like the immediately daze and KO. And so I'd like to just see them hard port in the daze mechanic from Shatterpoint into MCP. Where it's just like, you just can't kill my model without me making the choice to do so. Which is basically what the survival tactics card is.
Yeah.
But it would just be a core mechanic instead.
Yeah. I can see. It's really funny. I might have been reading a third party, but I was reading the like press release yesterday where they announced like Shatterpoint is going to be slowed down. They're renewing focus on MCP and Legion. And I think they straight called it the second edition of Legion. But everything that they did when the game first came out, they're like, it's not another edition. There's no more edition. It's just the same thing. We just updated literally all the rules and all the characters. It's like, that's second edition.
It's like a bad word now.
Yeah. And I'm fine with editions, but I would also be okay with a second edition like that of MCP.
I think not only would I be okay with it, I think the game desperately needs it.
I would like you to go back and fix it. I'll learn a whole new game. That's fine. I have the models. I really enjoy it. Except for when I roll bad, then I don't enjoy it. I want to stop playing. But I think it'd be good. And I would like, if this does well and they learn good lessons from it, then hopefully down the line they bring those lessons over and trim up some weaknesses.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on to our Mojo world this week.
Are you ready to get waxed?
We have Nintendo 64 games. Josh, when's the last time you played Nintendo 64?
Okay, so a physical N64 or an emulator?
Physical.
Physical would have been Over 5 years ago, but under a decade.
Interesting. Okay, definitely over a decade for me.
Because I still have a ton of friends that have N64s. I threw a fit. I gave my N64 to my uncle, who's older than me, for my cousins to play, and he got rid of it because it started being wonky, and his Super Nintendo. And I was like, I would have paid money to go take that to one of the shops that were still around at that time, but a repair shop, or shipped it off. No, I still enjoy those. Those are childhood memories to me. So,
that's good.
I've definitely played it.
So,
since.
I definitely remember 64 fondly. I didn't get to play it a lot, because it was right at the end of the time I had access to a console. But I remember the last time I think I physically held an N64 controller, it was at my friend's house when we lived in Alabama for a brief period. And we played a Game Sharked Pokemon Stadium.
Hell yeah, brother.
So that we just immediately unlock all the moves, unlock all the Pokemon, and immediately just start battling each other. Because it was in the summer that Pokemon exploded.
Yeah.
And so everyone at my school had Pokemon cards. Everyone was playing the video games. Everyone was talking about Pokemon literally 24/7. And so it was right around circa 2000.
Yep.
I think it was because right when we moved back to Kansas, the Pokemon movie came out.
Hell yeah. Now, the last time I played a N64 game, because the Switch does have an emulator, was under a year.
Yeah, I signed back up. I had been playing through, I think it's Link to the Past, the
good choice.
Nintendo game?
Yeah.
The regular Nintendo game, I want to say? No, it was Super Nintendo game. I was playing through that on, because I'd never beaten it, because I was like, fuck, I don't even know, set 6 when I started playing it. So I would just run around. I didn't even think I ever saved it. I would just run around and then leave and turn it off and come back and start over.
Yeah.
That was just not a problem for me.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, eventually, I just kind of never picked it up again because we got the 64, and then the PlayStation was the big thing. Once we got the PlayStation, I put a ton of hours on the PlayStation. But yeah, anyway, I was playing through it. And I was very excited. I wanted to go through and play through a couple games on N64, but you have to pay the higher subscription rate for that. I just hadn't. My Switch is actually sitting on my desk right now. I haven't turned it on in basically 5 years.
I mean, there's some good ones if you ever feel like, man, I really just want to play something or the other. It's worth the subscription to pay for a month or two.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. I just don't really have the time. The big one I put a lot of time into was the Pokemon Pikachu Let's Go, which is basically a remake of Yellow and Red and Blue, but with some mechanic changes.
Yeah.
Where the catching is different and a lot of the but they've also updated the Pokemon to be their current versions, or at least it was Gen 7 or 12. I can't remember when it was. But they're not the originals because they've added the steel types and the fairy types and stuff to the Pokemon that are in the game, but it's still the only, it's the 151.
That is the one I'm actually working through with my oldest nephew right now. We go hang out and we'll play 30 minutes of, I think he has Pikachu. Yeah. And we just play Let's Go Pikachu. And once he's
Don't
able...
buy the Eevee one.
So what's funny is that is Zach's favorite Pokemon, is Eevee and the Evolutions. And he doesn't have it. He has the Pikachu one. I was like, okay.
So he should be happy, though, because something they never tell anybody, the companion Eevee you get in the game can't evolve.
Nice.
And so everyone gets it, I'm going to get in and get the Vaporeon, and it doesn't evolve. And you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And so you're stuck with a regular Eevee, and you're like,
base Eevee is
the same thing.
Trash.
It's not great.
Pikachu's usable.
Where Pikachu, while not being the best, at least has some useful moves and decent stats.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I'm going to lead off with, we're going to go with Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Good choice. All right, you ready? I get 2.
Good. You get 2 back to back.
Mine is going to be my third favorite game of all time, and that is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. You could probably just put Majora's Mask. And then the game that almost gave me an aneurysm once, Banjo-Kazooie.
So you like Majora's Mask over Ocarina of Time?
I do.
Interesting.
I'm willing to defend my opinion when people listen to this, but I do enjoy Majora's Mask more.
And what was the second one you said? Banjo-Kazooie?
Banjo-Kazooie. Great game.
No idea how to spell that. We're just going to
Banjo-K.
Okay. We're just going to wing it.
I
don't think you understand what winging it means.
Okay.
All right. So you have successfully not taken any of mine, so I'm ready to go because I only had 4.
Okay.
We're going to go with Mario 64.
Good choice.
I think is probably the best Mario game in my opinion.
It's the only one I've ever played, so I'm going to agree with you.
So I've definitely played Super Mario Brothers. I played Mario 3. And I think I played the one that came after 64 briefly. I never played Galaxy. I meant to play Galaxy, but I never got around to it. But yeah, I think 64 is like the perfect example of what the intermediate time period of gaming was. Because you have like Pong, like the very beginning of video game, like Tetris, Pong, shit like that. Yes. Then you had like Mario 64 was like the intermediate.
Yeah. And
then we have like late PlayStation games, like you get into like Halo and shit like that. And that's like the modern style. And so I think Mario 64 is like the perfect example of the middle. And then the third one I'm going to do Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Good choice. Fuck. Okay.
Dude, that was the thing. I don't know if anyone wasn't there, but it's like there's the summer of when Tony Hawk came out. It's like, well, that's just the number one game. And so you would just go over to a friend's house. You wouldn't even talk about it. You would just go to their house. You'd walk in the door. They would immediately turn on the TV, turn on the PlayStation or the 64, and the game would already be in. And you would just sit down and you never mention what you were going to do when you came over. But that's what you were going to do.
And I played a lot of that game. I was still fucking trash at it. I literally just be like, cool, and just spasm the controller to like.
It was just all for me. It was all like get air and then just press all the buttons and hope he does something cool. But it was like that when Guitar Hero came out. It was like you just go to somebody's house and you wouldn't even mention the fact that you're going to play Guitar Hero, but you're playing Guitar Hero. All right, your final pick, sir. I put you in a tight spot.
It is I'm just going to follow my heart. I'm just going to follow the heart, and I'm going to call out an obscure one. Quest 64. It was a very strange... I can only describe it as they were trying to copy, like, Final Fantasy, but it was, like, 6 hours long or something. Like just a really weird, strange, very... there was no... Like, it's not telling you what to do or where to go.
Mm.
Strange. And I enjoyed it. It was actually...
I pulled up a list... I pulled up a list of like the top 50 selling 64 games when we started this. It was not on the list, but in the comments, many people were asking like, "No Quest 64."
No,
and so it's clearly like a cult following.
I directly attribute it to my love of turn-based games. I love a good, especially if you let me build a party, like Lord of the Rings: Third Age on Xbox. I got that game like on rental. I never owned it. Played it, and I was just like, dude, this is crazy. Like, this is so cool. And it just has stuck with me all these years. So, also the main character's name. You can have 3 guesses or 1 guess, whatever. What do you think the main character's name is?
Conan.
No.
Conan 2.
Nope.
Conan 3.
It is Brian. You are Brian the Mage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I think one of us has a really solid list here. The other one's named Josh. So
you know me. I'm going off in the woods.
You're still going to win because there's a conspiracy.
Yes.
It does not matter how hard I win something by. I will lose the vote.
Yep.
There was the one week when we were doing like celebrities you miss, and I showed somebody my list of 3 people, and then secret reveal, right? It's like, here are 3 names. Here are another 3 names. And it was like, every single person I was like, there's no, like, did the other person not get to pick first? Like, we picked all 3 first, and the other guy had to go last, and then forgot a bunch of people. Like,
Nope.
And I think I still lost that vote. Like, it's like, if this was the hardest win you can have, I still lost.
I always send or like ask my girlfriend those questions. I'll be like, all right, what like, besides like video games, reveal, yeah. But if we do movies and stuff, I'll be like, which of these picks? And she makes fun of me for my picks every single time. She's like, Good. You chose bad picks. She's like, what were you thinking? I was like, but I enjoyed them. She's like, you're still wrong. Like, that doesn't mean anything. So, honorable callouts?
Pokemon Stadium.
Pokemon Stadium. We are definitely going to get flamed for not doing Star Fox 64.
Or GoldenEye.
But
I did first-person shooters on 64. Go back and play it.
They're not good.
Some people still enjoy it, but that game is not good.
At the time, you were like, "Whoa!"
It was groundbreaking slaps. For its time.
You go back and play, you're like, "I am physically fucking aggravated trying to play this game." Perfect Dark, which is the better version of 007.
Yeah, but it came out like at the tail end of 64.
Yeah. Donkey Kong 64, another super great choice. Highly recommend.
I've never played a Donkey Kong game ever.
There's a new one out. I didn't play it. I think my roommates did. But I liked Donkey Kong 64 a lot. Because you basically had 5 different Kongs, and you had to use them to go around the map to do different things to get the golden bananas. And you would have to like hop into a barrel, turn into a different one. So it was cool. And then
go ahead.
Harvest Moon 64.
I just remember the first time I ever played Rogue Squadron. We went to Blockbuster where you would rent video games. I would always get a video game instead of a movie when we went as a family. And I was like, man, there's no good games that I want to play. And then I was my mom told me, just get the Star Wars game. You love Star Wars. It's like, I didn't love Star Wars. I liked Star Wars.
Yeah.
But usually the video games I did not enjoy. And so I got Rogue Squadron. I'm like, I don't even know what this is about. Well, I guess we'll play it. And from moment one, I was hooked. That game was so fucking awesome. I never knew I liked, I've never enjoyed another, fly a ship around game. I've never once before, never once after, but that game was just so fucking awesome.
You know what? I might have just missed one. Let me look at this real quick. Yeah. Star Wars Battle for Naboo was one where you just played through the fights of Naboo.
Episode 1, right?
Episode 1. Loved the shit out of that game. That was one, my buddy, shout out, you'll never hear this, Greg, who grew up down the street from me. We went to kindergarten together all the way through high school. We would come to each other's house just to play that one. And it wasn't multiplayer, it was single player. We would just switch off every other mission. Because you would go from controlling a tank to then having to fly a starfighter. Man, that was cool. That's a flash to the past.
Cool. Good old days.
Yeah, when I didn't have to pay taxes. That was great.
Yeah. Get rid of all this stuff. Alright. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I'm drawing a blank on that now. Oh, that was kind of... there was one other point I wanted to bring up earlier, but I totally forgot while we were talking about it. The concept of games not getting new releases kind of died off, right?
Yeah.
As a concept. Blood Bowl went 16 years without a release, and the community actually grew during that time period.
Mordheim is still going very strong.
I don't know about going strong when it takes a lot of effort to get games to happen, but you're not wrong.
In communities,
Mordheim has tested the time.
Communities where it's built up, they go very strong.
It has a huge cult following. Blood Bowl, I would say, beyond cult following, it's just a game that gets played.
And then, people kept Fantasy alive, Warhammer Fantasy alive all those years. They either just played the final edition or there was one other one. I think they called it.
It had 4 edition. Successors. Yeah. There was Ninth Age. There was Man of War. There was Kings of War, and there was people still played 8th, and there was another spin-off that was a different company. I can't remember what it was called. I think there's also One Page Rules is separate from Kings of War. But yeah, there's a lot of options. But yeah, people still wanted rank and flank fantasy battle.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you going to the store tomorrow?
Yep, we'll be there.
Cool.
We got some models to pick up, and I always Thursday, so. And they're going to be probably slapdash painted, so that's okay. Because Trench Crusade...
you got like close to a month.
Yeah, but I'm trying to take time and make my Trench Crusade stuff look really nice, so...
Mm-hmm.
So
my advice is do all your quick painting first.
Yeah.
And then go do your fancy painting last, and then you can just stop painting the fancy stuff, and it'll still be painted.
Yep, that is the game plan.
Yeah.
And I only have 2 models to paint anyway, because I'm only taking Moon Dragon and Adam Warlock.
Cool. Is CJ still planning on taking Kang?
I don't.
Or now that he's poopy, is he not going to do it?
No, so Kang was always his Path of the Worthy.
It's the painting submission.
Yes. He's probably still taking Mighty Avengers. He's really enjoying them. Cool. But Kang is like the one he's trying to win a trophy with. So
nice. Well, good luck to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what MCP is going to look like at Adepticon. I'll definitely walk through the hall and see what people are playing. We have a retraction to print for we read King's card, and somehow there's so many words on the card we just missed the sentence that the Iron Lad dies automatically at the end of the activation phase.
I was wondering what you guys were talking about because I was like, it's right there on the card.
Because we read King's card, and then we read all the other people that were in the spoiler. Then we read like 6 Tactics cards that were all paragraph cards.
Yeah,
it was we just missed it. Just being dumb, reading it off the website. So that I don't know why you would ever play that card. It seems completely useless and incredibly difficult to play.
Yeah,
it might be the new worst card in the game. Because all I can remember is he spawns in, gets to activate once, and then is removed from play. And I don't believe you ever get an opportunity to dump the wound tokens on him. So it's just like completely wasted.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I have no plans on playing him, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know what's going on with that guy. Although it sounds like a couple people have been playing Adam Warlock and having, I wouldn't call it success with him, but he's been performing well.
I'm very excited to try him.
Yeah. He seems like right up my alley for like game mechanics,
but
I still don't think he works. I think he will never die because there's no reason for your opponent to kill him
or attack him. He doesn't really.
That's what I'm saying. Like
damage.
You just completely ignore the fact that he exists and you win the game, not automatically but very easily. Like Phoenix is more of an issue than Adam Warlock is, because Phoenix will kill you. Adam Warlock's not going to kill you.
Yeah,
like, he might get somebody, but he's not going to like table you by any means. But yeah, I guess we'll see how things shake out.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect to see a lot of Adam Warlock in competitive play. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully you had a good time. This has been Brandon.
And Josh.
And you've just listened to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Get it? Because it's like Ultimate Alliance. Okay, good.
I got you.
Good.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.